Good evening or good afternoon or good morning everyone, whenever you're watching this presentation, and welcome to Poetryspective number 89. Coming to you again from the Thai city of Pattaya and from Shekdom back in Melbourne. We've got some great features for you as always. We've got the wonderful Amanda Anastasi presenting her own work. And then we have got something very interesting, which I've not even seen yet, from the wonderful Pobjie. We tried to come up with Lish and I spent a bit of time trying to work out some really clever thing to call it, but we failed dismally. Everything stayed on the cutting room floor for that one. So Ben's basically presenting some words from well-known movies, but in his own style. We'll make of it what we will. It sounds absolutely fascinating. I'm looking forward to receiving it and getting it uploaded. So it should be a lot of fun. We are hoping to be back. In fact, we will be back in real life. I won't be because I'm going to be over here in Thailand enjoying the sunny weather. But Alicia will be back with you soon in real life. So look forward to that. She's going to be. We'll have an announcement later on in the presentation from Lish. Aside from that, I suspect we can just get going. Okay, enjoy. All our regulars will know it's a bit of a tradition here at Poetryspective for the hosts to read a poem from the retrospective feature. As you all know by now, today's retrospective feature is Ben Pobjie. We're going to do something a little bit different today. Lish and I are both going to read the same poem, kind of retro slam style. Hope you enjoy.
Here is my interpretation of Ben Pobjie's poem. The day I lose my mind will be the most glorious day of my life. I will ring up my friends and say, I've lost my mind. And they will say, that's great news. And I will say, yes, 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, 6 pounds, 7 ounces. And they will say, what? And I will say, ha! And then I will ring up the news media and say, I've lost my mind. And they will say, do you want us to send journalists? And I will say, no, thank you, I'm Jewish. And then I will ring up my girlfriend and say, I am leaving you. I have found someone else. And she will say, who is it? And I will say, it's the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm sorry, baby. It's just got more features than you ever will. And she will say, have you lost your mind? And I will say, yes, thank you for noticing. What are you doing tonight? And she will answer, but I will not hear her, for I will have already hung up because I have lost my mind and I am unpredictable. And then I will ring my parents and I will say, look out, raccoons!
The day I lose my mind will be the most glorious day of my life. I will ring up my friends and say, I've lost my mind. And they will say, that's great news. And I will say, yes, 10 tiny fingers, 10 tiny toes, 6 pounds, 7 ounces. And they will say, what? And I will say, ha! And then I will ring the news media and say, I've lost my mind. And they will say, do you want us to send journalists? And I will say, no, thank you, I'm Jewish. And then I will ring up my girlfriend and say, I'm leaving you, I've found someone else. And she will say, who is it? And I will say, it's the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. I'm sorry, baby, it's just got more features than you ever will. And she will say, have you lost your mind? And I will say, yes, thank you for noticing. What are you doing tonight? And she will answer, but I will not hear her, for I will have already hung up because I've lost my mind and I am unpredictable. Then I will ring my parents and I will say, look out. Raccoons!
I haven't done this one for a while. I did it first at the Dan, a couple of years ago. It's called Danny the Drag Queen Invites a Dickhead to Dinner. Oh no, there he is again. Somehow I thought he'd gone on holiday, some place where they worship volcanoes and schoolies eat chilies to the death. But no, he's back at the ranch with a shiny platinum car and a brand new boyfriend to match, who wears a spiked dog collar and reads him the TV guide in fluent pidgin Sanskrit. Oh yes, he's back. Oh yes, he's back, with a briefcase full of diamonds and real estate on phony islands, and he breeds kittens just to defile them. But Danny the Drag Queen thinks he's a winner, and she's invited him to dinner next Thursday.
And then what did happen?
What?
And then what did happen?
What happened then? I'll tell you. So Danny, how did your dinner go? You know, your date with the wealthy wanker? Did you dress up in op-shop gloamish? Did you lose a couple of stone? Did his big shot talk impressed? Suck the meat right off your bone? You know, your precious dinner guest is just a cocaine corporate clone. Oh yeah, I know. I'm being a bitch. Just saying. Did you drag him to the boudoir? Say sweet nothings off her cue cards in a voice like Dooley Newmars while his boyfriend filmed the whole thing? In love and sex, you're no beginner, but you fell for his tricks. Yeah, come in, spinner. You've invited him again. You've invited him again to dinner next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Hi everyone, this poem is called The Baby Waves. The baby waves, the baby waves, the baby waves at the train. See the driver wave, see the passengers wave, see everyone wave at the baby. The baby waves, the baby waves, the baby waves at the sea. See the sea wave. See the sea wave wave. See the sea wave 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 wave. See everyone wave at the baby. The baby waves, the baby waves, the baby waves at the particle. See the particle wave. See the particle wave, particle wave, particle wave. See the particles waves, see the particles waves, particles waves. See everyone wave at the baby. The baby waves, the baby waves, the baby waves at the COVID. See the COVID wave. See the COVID waves. See the COVID waves wave. Wave, 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 wave. See everyone wave at the baby. The baby waves, the baby waves, the baby waves at the universe. Stop waving, baby. Thank you very much.
Greetings, poetry lovers. It is time for our first feature tonight, the retrospective feature, Ben Pobjie, whom we are so excited to have that we've read his poem twice. Ben will be reciting famous speeches from various films as poems. And I know it is going to be absolutely fantastic. I have watched it and you're in for a real treat. And here is a little bit about the man himself. Ben Pobjie is an Australian comedian, poet and writer. He studied history at the University of Western Sydney. He pursued a career in comedy writing and is known for his TV columns in The Age, the Sydney Morning Herald, and political satire for New Matilda, Crikey, and the ABC, among others. His books include Super Chef, The Book of Bloke, Era Australis, Aussie, 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 and Second Best. Ben is far from second best. In fact, he is of the highest caliber. So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
It wasn't him, Charlie. It was you. You remember that night in the garden? You came down to my dressing room and said, "Kid, this ain't your night. We're going for the price on Wilson." You remember that? This ain't your night. My night. I could have taken Wilson apart. So what happens? He gets the title shot outdoors in a ballpark. What I get? One-way ticket to Palookaville. You was my brother, Charlie. You should have looked out for me a little bit. You should have taken care of me. Just a little bit. So I wouldn't have to take them dives for the short-end money. You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody instead of a bum, which is what I am. Let's face it. It was you, Charlie. You know, you don't have to act with me, Steve. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to do anything. Not with me. Or maybe just whistle. You remember how to whistle, don't you? Just put your lips together and blow. Because you're getting on that plane. No, let me finish. I'm staying here with him till the plane gets safely away, right? Last night we said a great many things. You said I was to do the thinking for both of us. Well, I've done a lot of it since then, and it all adds up to one thing. You're getting on that plane with Victor. Victor, yeah, where you belong. Now, you've got to listen to me. Listen to me. Do you have any idea what you have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10, yeah, we both wind up in a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis? I'm saying this because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. And if that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But soon. And for the rest of your life, But we'll always have Paris. We'd lost it until you came to Casablanca, but we got it back last night. I've got a job to do too. Yeah. Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of. Ilsa, I'm no good at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of three little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. Someday you'll understand that. Now, here's looking at you, kid. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Blah, 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 blah. Duh. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill their promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate, and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason. A world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite. Behold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with some unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish. I always get a great kick out of that part of the Declaration of Independence. Now, you're not going to have a country that can make these kind of rules work if you haven't got men that have learned to tell human rights from a punch in the nose. Thank you. It's a funny thing about men, you know. They all start life being boys. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if some of these senators were boys once. And that's why it seemed like a pretty good idea to me to get boys out of crowded cities and stuffy basements for a couple of months out of the year and build their bodies and minds for a man-sized job. Because those boys are going to be behind these desks some of these days. And it seemed like a pretty good idea, getting boys from all over the country, boys of all nationalities and ways of living, getting them together. Let them find out what makes different people tick the way they do. Because I wouldn't give you 2 cents, not 2 cents for all your fancy rules, if behind them they didn't have a little bit of plain, ordinary, everyday kindness. And a little looking out for the other fella too. Thank you. That's pretty important, all that. It's just the blood and bone and sinew of this democracy that some great man handed down to the human race. That's all. But of course, if you've got to build a dam where that boys' camp ought to be to get some graft to pay off some political army or something, well, that's a different thing. Oh, no. If you think I'm going back there and tell those boys in my state and say, look now, fellas, forget about it. Forget all this stuff I've been telling you about this land you live in. It's a lot of hooey. This isn't your country. It belongs to a lot of James Taylors. No, not me. And anybody here that thinks I'm going to do that, they've got another thing coming. That's all right. I just wanted to find out whether you still had faces. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I know I'm being disrespectful to this honorable body. I know that. A guy like me should never be allowed to get in here in the first place. I know that. And I hate to stand here and try your patience like this, but either I'm dead right or I'm crazy. As God is my witness, they're not going to lick me. I'm going to live through this, and when it's all over, I'll never be hungry again. No, nor any of my folks. If I have to lie, steal, cheat, or kill, as God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again. Hi, I'm Ben Pobjie, and I'm here to deliver some of my personal favourites, starting with this. Now, Sawyer, you listen to me, you listen hard. 200 people, 200 jobs, $200,000. 5 weeks of grind and blood and sweat depend upon you. It's the lives of all these people who've worked with you. You've got to go on, and you have to give, and give, and give. They've got to like you. They've got to. Do you understand? You can't fall down. You can't, because your future's in it, my future, and everything all of us have is staked on you. All right, now, I'm through. But you keep your feet on the ground and your head on those shoulders of yours and go out. And Sawyer, you're going out a youngster, but you've got to come back a star.
Thank you, Ben. That was amazing. And it was so good to hear those speeches recited as poems in the only way a Pobjie can. I was very, very, very impressed. And that was extremely enjoyable. Thank you so much. And now, more of the open section.
Vegemite toast and a cup of tea, sitting on the veranda for breakfast, taking in the morning sun. Maggie's carol in the trees, washing dances in the breeze, doggo snoozing at my knees. Heaven might be something like these mornings in the sun, with Vegemite toast and a cup of tea, sitting on the veranda for breakfast. This is one by Kaz Maisel in her lovely little book Moorings. This is called Bespoke. Elle's knitted scarf, she brings it to poetry. Everyone is calmed. Put your knitting down, we want to wear poetry, spun in your warm voice. Thank you.
Rocket into me, burning fuel to hot gas, like your last trip. Engine and thrusters activated. Be my firework from ancient China, Newton's third law of motion. I'll be Saturn. Run my rings around you. Sometimes I prefer the screen. Cold lack of intimacy. Keyboards equal distance for the difficult task of peeling back the core. I can pretend it is someone else probing the ether. A file of juxtapositions sit at the edge of memory, on parchments, palimpsest undivided. Sometimes I prefer the screen, separating cortex from lymphatic, another dimension to sit in, to pluck and bend the shape of dreams. Hi everyone, Lish again, just returning with a few announcements. Firstly, Poetryspective is returning live to Pride of our Footscray Community Bar. That being said, we shall still be running these online poetry events. They shall be fortnightly, possibly monthly. We are still discussing that at the moment, but we'll be able to inform you of this very soon. Secondly, when we do return live on November 30, write that down, people. It's the 4th annual Poetryspective Retro Slam. Yes, I'm so excited about the Retro Slam. It's always a wonderful time. And of course, it is the slam where poets recite the workings of other poets instead of their own. And this year we have a feature as well, the magnificent Nikki Viveka. And I had the pleasure of featuring with Nikki at Girls on Key recently, and I just fell in love with her. She's absolutely fabulous. So I know that everybody is going to have a marvellous time when they come to the slam, especially you. And of course, now to the rules of the slam. Firstly, no props. That is discouraged. Any props or extravagant costumes or things. This is all about the recital of somebody else's work, your interpretation of another poet. And you must pick 2 poems by your chosen poet. So entrants will read 1 poem in the first round, and if they make it through to the second round, they recite the second poem that they have chosen by the same poet. for that round. And then, of course, after that, we have the results. And I know that this year is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really pleased with the judges. We have Brendan Bonsack, who won the Discotini last year for his deft recitals of the poetry of Joy Harjo. And our second judge is Steve Smart, who took second place in the Retro Slam, but was also the winner of the very first People's Choice Award for his amazing recitals of the poetry of Sandon MacLeod. And our third judge is none other than Matthew O'Keefe, Chief Bar Officer at Pride of Our Footscray Community Bar. So those are the three that you need to bribe, or actually not bribe, because your bribes will have no effect on them. To register, you can contact me directly through Messenger or via email, skecdom@bigpond.com, skecdom @bigpond.com, or contact the Poetryspective group on the Facebook page, or contact the Poetryspective pages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. So I look forward to your entries and bring on the 4th annual Retro Slam. This is Lish, over and out.
By the end of the night, everyone is an arsehole. Everyone is your true best friend. Oh, what great love you might miss in a 15-minute miss trick. Yeah, everyone's an arsehole, and so are you. Millie used to be a stripper named Paris. Says her dad is Tom Waits. Oh, she says it to everyone, just can't shut her up. Tom Waits, she says, not the man raised her, not Doug from Bo Morris. Nice guy, Doug. Called talkback radio stations too often when he was lonely. Doug from Bo Morris, he was always lonely. This is what hope gets you, Millie says. A handful of habits and 3 boyfriends who were almost so close to famous, only they lost their art to swollen pride and 2 quick fists that weren't quite quick enough. No one lied to anyone except themselves and you. We're all tricked by this. Stitch us up together at the end of hope and pray we get the house, the car, and all we swore not to believe in until we couldn't deny that good life that kept calling us by name in a wistful tone. Tell us, Tom Waits. Tell us it's worth it, the straight life. Tell us everything's going to be just fine. Tell us, you goddamn swine. Tell us it's all going to work out for me and Millie Paris and old Doug from Bo Morris and him and her and you. And that guy whose name we can't remember, who's always shaky on his feet except when he's throwing darts. Tell us it's all going to work out right, this repetitive strain life. Tell us, you goddamn swine. We always believe you in the end.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the poetry tonight. I know I certainly am. And now it is time for our second feature tonight, that being the one and only Amanda Anastasi. And here is a little bit about the woman herself. Amanda Anastasi's poetry has appeared in unexpected places, from the Artist's Slay Walls in Windsor to the Massachusetts Review 2018. Amanda wrote a series of poems set in the year 2042 as part of the Wheeler Centre Hot Desk Fellowship. In 2020, during Melbourne's first extensive lockdown, she was a digital artist in residence for The Things We Did Next, where she wrote poetry set in the near future of 2029. Amanda is currently poet in residence at the Monash Climate Change Communications Research Hub, where she is writing poetry in relation to ecological issues and the climate crisis. Her poetry collection, The Inheritors 2021, is currently available through Black Pepper Publishing. This is Amanda Anastasi. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Lish and Colin, for having me. And it's a real pleasure to feature at Poetryspective and also to co-feature with Ben Pobjie. And I wanted to read some poems from my book, The Inheritors, just a couple from here as a sort of a straight reading. This was published through Black Pepper this year. And after I do a couple of readings from the book, I wanted to sort of launch into some video poems that I've been working on. Some of you might have seen some of the videos, but there are going to be a couple of new pieces that I'll be premiering at Poetryspective tonight. So I wanted to start with the opening poem from The Inheritors. I wrote this poem when I met my friend's newborn child for the first time. And just having all of those thoughts of what we're bringing this fresh life into and what lays ahead for any child that is introduced to this place. This poem is called Newcomer. From beneath her blanket, she writhes like a cupped spider, as though aware of her upcoming divergence from the intent of the temporary God that holds her spoon, of the bell that will end play, of the acceptable poisons to be adopted, the rushes into sunlight assuming permanence, the missed junctures, the steps that will tread too carefully to invite epiphany, like the turns of her mind later to readily intersect with the realized rebellions of others. Her curled, jutting feet suddenly relax. There will be no freer moment than this, the starting line, the undiluted view before indoctrination begins its sly, steady seep. Now a bundle passed from hand to hand, she is years from spotting and unpicking the expectations sewn into her birth. The spell of lilting songs and happy-ended tales sets in. It is the beginning of being carried and ushered away. The day at least she is yet to be named. I think I should introduce you to my cat Pandora for those of you who don't know her. I think most of you probably already know her, but she's very popular on social media and has a very, very large following. But as you can see, she's reclined on the piano stool behind me, which is a usual occurrence. She's been sleeping all day. She has a very privileged life. And if she were awake, she would say hello, meow. But she is otherwise engaged. She doesn't know what's going on right now. She doesn't know she's going to be streamed to many, many people. She did not consent to this. Anyway, thought I'd read a poem now that was actually a performance piece or written as a performance piece for a show called I Am That Woman in 2015. And I thought it'd be good to bring out tonight because Lish Skek was my co-feature in that show. It was Lish Skek, Vicky Mealings, Jax Brown, and Lana Wolf. And this was one of my poems from that show, and I haven't read in a long time, so here we go. It's a list of household chores. Vacuum up your niggling doubts. Run a finger through the dust of your conclusions. Paint the walls an unfashionable color. Scrub up your curiosity. Keep the cobwebs on the walls rather than in your thinking. Remove the streaks of expectation from the windows. Improve your mother's recipes. Allow your paintings to hang slightly crooked. Open the door more readily to a stranger. Answer the phone and say, "You are not quite home." Invent a new word and drop it in a conversation. Hang your trepidation in a locked closet. Polish up your resolve. Before we get into the videos, I wanted to read one more poem, and then you will not see me for a while. I wrote this poem about the possibility of frogs becoming extinct. So if we remove one animal from the ecosystem, what would it mean for the rest of us? So it's a hypothetical situation which could actually happen if we do not act. So this poem is called "Upon the Extinction of Frogs." By night, the children examine their lamplights and mattresses. By day, they no longer dislodge grasshoppers to place in hold jars or stomp on bull ant mountains. A mosquito fog obstructs the view of the river, the snaking washed up algae and recurrent weed bouquets. The porch is hedged with latest repellents, 6 or 7 for each room of the house. 10 spiders gather at the foot of the table leg, and 12 scuttle from beneath the piano lid. The 2 muted strings during chopsticks are explained, and each speckled movement of the wall shadows. A for sale sign for 6 months reads premium waterfront property. Earplugs block the siren of the unshifting blanket of crickets on the window pane. The child raises her eyes from the screen to ask what animal Kermit is, and I tell the story of the creature with the bowl-like chin and delicate lever legs. Dropped in water buckets, containers, and eager palms, until the coming of the next novelty. So Pandora and I hope you enjoy the videos, and hope you are adequately confronted and moved to make a fuss about what's happening with the climate. Oh, look, Pandora is up. I think she's about to play Rachmaninoff. Oh no, she's cleaning her face. Okay, enjoy. Snow guns affixed on pedestals, positioned at precise points. Sentinels guarding the seasonal touch-up on the receding head of the mountain. What nature serves is now deemed insufficient, not dense nor durable enough to accommodate the hundreds of polyester-clad skiers who glide, tumble, and swerve upon this terrain, their feet bladed or housed in polyethylene, combing the surface of the fortified slope. I kneel to feel this latest snow, and I am reminded of an asphalt surface and freezer ice. I recall powdery flakes that fell upon my childhood winter holidays, how they exhaled like feathers to ground without mechanical intrusion, each flake a new, intricate imprint beneath my feet. The ice melts directly in my glass as I eye the crisp laundry that dried seconds after the peg's grip. Neighbours unlock cars, tensing at the thought of a temperature rise hotter than outside. Children pass a 7-Eleven without asking for ice cream, to the relief of parents out of hand wipes and patience. Pedestrians pass each other, faces pressed into a mix of doubt and agitation at the idea of human proximity. The dog is begging for a walk. We run up and down the hall instead, avoiding walls and opening doors. It is not the mask that restricts. This thin covering of cloth may slightly dampen the tenor and reverberation of your voice, and cloak the creases around your smiling or pursed mouth, and leave your eyes to say it all. It is reminding you of the ever-present gag you nod yes to daily, and weave your life through and around. That invisible hand upon your mouth, propped up and fixed in place by your own. There are ample spaces between for self-expression, making the window bars more tolerable and almost appear as though they are not actually there. You may have realized now, and perhaps you always have, that a bird can remain in its cage when the door has been left open for hours. You are, and always have been, free. It was the instant crease at the center of your brow that latched me. The way you clipped your vowels, your unequivocal consonants, online messages and live streams could never manage to capture. How your eyes darted to register a passerby, and how those pulls, indefinite in tone, upon the mention of Yeats would lift their veil, the irises lightning. How your voice sailed in and out of my ear with Mozartian ease, without muffle or electronic interruption, or vacant or misplaced silences. How your hands, animated and in full agreement with your face, punctuated the vivid points of your stories, the stories that tell of the many pavements you paced before you paused at my door. How there is a dignity in you lingering here, your brow crease softening here.
Thank you, Amanda Anastasi, for that incredible and thought-provoking set. It is definitely something for everybody to take on board, because as a fellow environmental activist, I truly believe that climate change should be at the top of the world's political agenda, because we only have one planet. So again, thank you for your amazing videos. And now, the rest of the open section.
Maybe it was fiction. Maybe it was fiction. Our friendship is a popped balloon. In my wildest imaginings, I couldn't have realized you were such a big Dean Koontz. It puts me into such an imposition that we have to partition all of our friends, all of our loose ends. We both love to make believe, but I can't believe you made me believe. We have shared interests, empathy, morality, the plurality of rurality. You hide your nuts better than a squirrel. How were you my most trusted person in the world? One day I said, let's give it a whirl, and lost track of my spinning. It's not the 7th, but 98th inning. My patience, like my hair, has taken forever to be thinning. But now that I'm thinking, I have no desire to stop swimming. You were happy to drag me under, however far, however deep it took. Really threw the book at me, but I'm not the fool for which you mistook. All these extravagant expenditures hid the meanness inside. You hurt me over and over, yet I continued to confide and let thing after thing slide. If we were written in the stars, then so were COVID and SARS. I'm not waiting for you to come back. Our foundations are irreversibly cracked. Now that we have distance, I see all the things I thought you brought into my life that in reality you lacked. There's no turning back, no turning back. Everything I found in you, I can find in someone else, without the emotional hell that you claim to hate, but in all reality used to perpetuate and manipulate someone who shouldn't date you anymore. You slammed too many doors. I was there for you through things you chewed me out over needing support from you for. Red Rover, nevermore will I sniff with you the residue of the white cliffs of Dover. Red Rover, please notify them this transaction is over. Of their toxic ways, I will spend my days and nights sober. As the Scots say, you're such a doper. The keys to my career and emotional stability I don't ask for, but humbly demand you hand over. You cared when you got what you want. My bed and my head and my 5-minute sets, I no longer want you to haunt. I know you'll use this pain to justify the nastiness of your behavior and brain, but I'm running like rain, and when the sun comes up again and I taste the light, I'll be gone like a stain. All the goodwill that I willed on long after you stopped being good for me will inevitably be set free. You and me are history, and that's all, with the bookend now also on the right side. This chapter is over. The truth and the lies, the smiles and sighs, by and by I will close my eyes, put you back on the shelf where my keep my history of hells. I have no words left to waste. Goodbye, good day, don't contact me. Ixnay, with these lines, I release you, come what may. Epilogue is, I release you in perpetuity. Okay?
Good evening, poets and perspectives. This one's called Shattered Dreams. Part 1, Poetic License. My love lives in the United States, Nana told Nonno. Nonchalant, he sang a song in a deep soprano tone. Did she love him till the day he died? No one knows. Shortly after they married, Grandpa left for the States. Left her alone in the village with a baby in her tummy. A house, more of a four-person tent. That's the way it was back then. She waited for a ticket to be reunited with a man, a future for his family, which shone bright in him. At Ellis Island, the traffic signals shone red. Darkness within, a beam. Through the clouds, he alighted in Havana. The future was cracked, adjusted and replaned. The dream had evaporated to the land of the free, kept alive by moving off to an island territory. If I can't get her to America, then to the Americas we come. 8 years and his courage succumbed. Too numb to write, did he sit in the bar on a hot, humid, tempestuous day, checking out the broads, the musicians at play, playing cards, having a chat, and where did you work? Where would you look for a job and what did you cook? How quickly did you learn Spanish? I never heard you speak. These questions birthed in imaginings, wonder and seek I shall with my inquisitive mind. Give me closure to follow, your trail to answer all the above and below. Did you find love? Did you have other children? Did you gamble at the casino? Did you meet Fidel as a kid? Did you go swimming at the beach? Did you party on the beat? Did you think of those back home? Or just a zombie stare? City living's pace, keeping the gremlins asleep, or the nightmare of being shell-shocked in haunted dreams of a broken man? Did your lifestyle collapse with the government official came calling that your wife has sent word that morning that you should return back to your family again, to cut wood, make charcoal and farm the land? Now you're fathered 4 and they have moved offshore, all from a man who travelled the world and back again, to a woman who said that her heart was for the man in America who dreamed of living a better life. Nonchalant, he sang a song in a deep soprano tone. Did she love him till the day he died? No one knows. Part 2, Fact. The inquiry led to my auntie, who filled the gaps. Grandad was born on a farm next to Nonna's. In July 1916, trained to be a hero, transported to Veneto. Fight against an empire-watching man, shot, gassed, scream. The charge over the trenches with your mates, eaten by mice, starve. Your knots in stomach, watching carrion birds strip the soul. Heaven-bound. Never returned to a town with luggage you didn't take, made your way to Argentina, dodging the Spanish flu. Did you get kicked out or return willingly? And there was Nonna on the farm next to you. You didn't inherit. She was promised to another man in the States. He found her on the farm. She married in 1921. He left, and so did you, to the US, where you boarded a ship, expelled after a year, and made your way to Cuba. Worked for a firm that advertised in the village. You living with your dream-time explosions. Nonna fought off her child and fought for her child and your family. Pinned her to the ground, forcing her to sell. She battled on while you fought your hell, and had place in a Cuban newspaper of missing persons, made its way to you. You made your way back with the clothes on your back, skin and bones, repatriated by a government you'd fought for. In 1930, after a 9-year journey of world travel, you rested your soul and laid down your legacy. A World War I medal, Dad's entitlement in the Garibaldi Regiment. You both married older women, left them, returned. I was opposite, mine younger and bounced 10 times and left for good. The curse of the generation lifted its chains. Like you, your children departed, never returned for you or Nan's funeral. This timeline tells me your movements, not your thoughts, your actions, honourable. The end, you found love in your family again.
So, we find ourselves once again at the end of another Poetryspective. Thank you, as always, to all of our wonderful contributors, our great features, Amanda and Ben. Really enjoyed those, absolutely amazing. You see, I've come up now to a place called the Big Buddha. That's quite a big Buddha. You can see the person walking in front of it. Give you some idea just how big it is. Yeah, so a bit of patio for you. Yeah, no, thank you again for all our contributions. As always, this show is only ever as good as the videos that everyone submits. Without those, we don't have a show. So this is Colin signing out from the Big Buddha. I've got this feeling I'm being watched. So yeah, enjoy. Looking forward to catching up in the flesh at some point soon. For all those of you who are entering the Retro Slam or attending the Retro Slam, have a great evening. Fortunately, I won't be able to be there, like I said earlier, but yeah, it's always a fantastic event, so definitely something to look forward to and get along to if you can, if you're in Melbourne. I'll leave it there. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Be safe and enjoy Retro Slam.
Good night, poetry lovers, and see you soon. Thanks for tuning in and sending your videos. This is Lish signing off. Until next time.